Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at a kit guitar. This guitar belongs to a friend of mine, and he put this guitar together several years ago now. I'm not sure exactly how long ago he did it. I think maybe around 8 or 10 years ago. I'll have to ask him to get a number on that, but regardless, he's had it for a while, and he wanted me to take a look at it. It is in need of a setup, and I'm going to zoom you in a minute just to show you a little more detail there. Now this kit guitar, he got me the name. The name of the company was GTS Music, and they were based out of Ontario, Canada. And I went online before filming the video to see if I can get a little more information on the company and their kits, things like that. And I couldn't actually find anything on that company. So I don't know if they're still around or if they've changed their name. I'm not really sure what happened there. So I don't really have a lot of additional information to give you guys other than what my buddy told me and what we'll just be able to take in from just looking at it. So obviously this guitar is based upon an Ibanez Jem. And let me just zoom in a little closer here. So we've got the monkey grip, they call it here, for your hand. They've got the Tree of Life inlays on the fretboard. A better shot of that. Okay. And then we've got the locking trem system. Okay. HSH configuration, 1 volume, 1 tone, and a 5-way switch. The trem is says licensed under Floyd Rose. So, you know, being a kit guitar, it's probably not a genuine Floyd, but it's licensed under them. But, you know, he said it's been working fine. So, I mean, other than it needs to be set up a little better. But so he did all the finish work himself. I asked him what type of a finish coat he used on top of the stain, and he couldn't remember. So as far as what we're going to do on this guitar, I'm just going to probably just clean it a bit with just a regular cleaner. I'm not going to do any buffing or polishing on it because I don't really know what kind of finish this is. I asked him if he could, you know, if he remembers, to let me know, and then maybe I'd be able to polish it and shine it up a bit, because it could use a little polish. It's got a little bit of not quite an orange peel, but it's got a bit of that, you know, could use some wet sanding or a buff just to smooth it and bring out the shine. But I mean, it still looks cool because it's got that natural wood finish to it that when he stained it. And he also did the back and the neck as well in that same finish, right up to the headstock there. So we've got a 4-bolt bolt-on neck. We've got black hardware, and the pickups are the ones that came with the kit. I told my buddy, his name's Glenn. I told Glenn if he wanted me to swap any of these pickups out, you know, while we've got the thing apart, now's the time to do it. So I told him give it a think and let me know what he wants to do there. And we'll check the electronics and we'll check everything, make sure it all works. But before we go any further with this, I wanted to zoom in on a couple of things that stood out to me. First off, let me zoom you in really close here. Okay, so if you look really closely at where the strings mount into the saddle here on the trem system, you can, if you look closely, you'll be able to see the windings on the string. So I have a little piece of string here, and you can see how the string is wrapped right here, back on itself. So the wire comes down, loops around the ball end, and then back on itself and wraps around. So it looks like he's got these wraps inserted into the block where the string is held in place. Okay, so you don't want that. You want to cut these off and use, you know, the cut end of the string to go in there. Or what you can do is you can take the ball end and wrap this end around the tuners. I've seen guys do that. And then you take the other end of the string and put it in here. You'll still have to trim the end off, especially on the wound strings, to get the tail off, and you want a nice smooth cut there. But that's the first thing I noticed. So these strings, these blocks, like you could damage those blocks, I'm thinking, over time, because, you know, you don't have a nicely wrapped string here, you've got everything wrapped on itself, not like you do up here. If you follow what I'm saying there. So we'll look a little closer at how to string this up when we do the setup on the guitar, once we get new strings on it. So that was the first thing that jumped out at me. Let me zoom you out here. And if you look at the Floyd from this angle, you can see that it's sitting way deep into the body. Ideally, you want the unit to float, like to sit like this naturally. It should be parallel to the body. It's a little hard to see because the plate is a little recessed, but you can kind of see it there. Okay, so that's the other thing that needs to be addressed. While we're here, you can see that the bridge pickup is almost touching that string. Like if you hold the string down, yeah, it's just a hair underneath there of a gap. So the pickups will need to be adjusted as well. And another thing I noticed at the nut side, so if you look closely right here, it looks almost like there's a crack. It might just be something on the finish, but it looks like a crack to me, which is kind of weird because that piece is metal. So we'll need to take a closer look at that as well. And again, we won't know what really is going on here until we get the strings off and get these pieces taken off the nut. And while we're here, take a quick look. The strings aren't really wound on the tuners properly. Like the A string has got one wrap on it. The D and the low E string look okay. The G string, there's a little bit of string flopping around the tuner there. High E string looks okay. The B string looks a little weird as well. But I mean, that's not a huge deal with the locking system here. This is what's holding everything down, right? What's going on up here is not really relevant. But you know, I like to wrap my strings up here regardless if there's a locking system in place. That's just what I like to do. So we'll string it up like I normally do in my other videos. If you've watched those, you'll see how we do that. And the tuners, they look fine. I checked them out. They seem to be okay. There's no play or looseness or anything in them. The other thing I noticed was the neck does not seem to be seated in the pocket very well. I just got it's just a thin metal ruler I have. You can see how much gap there is in here. It's quite a bit, a couple millimeters for sure. And it is a bolt-on neck. And I asked my buddy about that. He wasn't even really aware that that was happening. So he couldn't remember if the neck had pre-drilled holes for the screws here. If that was the case, maybe the screws were not deep enough, or I'm sorry, the holes were not deep enough for the screws, or maybe these just need to be tightened up a little bit, because these I feel a little bit of, yeah, I feel some gap there. So these screws could go a little tighter. I'll give it a try, see what happens. But this neck is going to come off anyway. So we'll take a closer look at what's going on there. And then as far as the rest of the guitar goes, the frets look okay. I mean, they're dirty and they need a little cleaning, but I will check them with the fret rocker to see if there's any issues, and we'll address them once the neck gets off the body. So we may be doing some fret work on here. I'll have to take a closer look at that. And we'll check the electronics before we do any removal of parts. So let me plug into my practice amp here, and we'll just give it a quick once over. Okay, so I'm just making sure the electronics and everything work. I'm not getting anything out of that guitar. Just making sure my volume was turned up. Yeah, everything's turned on. I know that cable's good. Let me just quickly plug in one of my guitars to make sure it's not a problem with the cable or the amp. Okay, so the amp and cable are good. Okay, that's interesting. He didn't mention there was an issue with anything as far as the electronics go. Yeah, I'm not getting anything on any of the pickups. Weird. Okay, well, I guess we'll have to start with the electronics first. Might just be an open maybe in the switch. The one thing that is a little different from an actual Ibanez Jem is the output jack for your cable. Usually that's sitting back here and it's angled this way. So when you plug your guitar in, the cable actually would sit like that, and that way you can wrap it around your strap to keep it out of the way. It's actually a kind of a cool design. This one is just your standard on the side with the little football plate on there. I will, I'm going to give him a quick call just to let him know that I'm not getting anything at all out of here, like not even a crackle, no pickup noise. That's weird. Okay, well, we've obviously got an open somewhere. If I had to take a guess, it's likely in the switch here somewhere, which we will need to take the covers and stuff off. So let me just quickly stop the video here. I will give him a quick call and see what he says. Okay, I talked to my friend, and he was not aware that there was anything wrong with it. He said the last time he played the guitar, it was working fine as far as the electrically speaking. So I think what's happened is we likely just got an open somewhere, probably at the output jack. Maybe one of the wires had just broken loose, or maybe there was a bad solder joint that just worked itself loose over time. But we won't really know until we get the pick guard off and get the output jack out, and we'll take a closer look at that. So we will move on from there. One other thing I want to do before we actually start taking things apart is I want to take a closer look at these screws for the neck here. Now I'm just going to see how much I can tighten these by hand. Okay, well, a little bit on that one. Not much there. Okay, a little bit there. And a little bit there. Not enough to make a difference in that gap. So I'm wondering if maybe those holes are just not deep enough. But again, we'll need to take the neck off to get a closer look at that. And since we got the guitar flipped over, let's take that back plate off. Take a quick look in there just to make sure there's no other surprises. Okay, nothing out of the ordinary there that I could see. Zoom in a little closer. The claw screws seem like they're almost right up against the body of the guitar. Those are probably way too tight, but we'll loosen those off. The ground is on there correctly. Looks okay to me. It's nice and clean routing in there. Nothing that jumps out. This plate is not recessed in any way also. So not that it matters, just mentioning it. So yeah, I think not much else to see there. Looks like it's a solid piece in there too. Oh, there's a bit of a crack right here. Oh yeah, I can feel it. Little bit of a crack there. Okay, I'll mention that to him when I talk to him. I could probably fill that maybe with just a little CA glue just to prevent it from cracking any further. And it's very close to where the back plate will sit, the cover plate. Yeah, it'll be covered, so we could probably get away with actually, yeah, there's two of them. There's one here, and then there's one right above it up here. This bottom one would be visible. Yeah, you could still see a bit of it there. So yeah, I'd like to know what kind of finish this is, because if I did do a little repair job, maybe with some CA glue, I would need to do a little sanding just to smooth it out and a little polishing. But like I mentioned before, without knowing what kind of finish this is, I would be a little leery about applying polishing and buffing compounds to it. So I'll mention it to him, see what he has to say. Being on the back of the guitar, we might just be able to get away with a very thin application of CA glue just to prevent this from getting any worse. Yeah, you can see it a bit in the light there. The other side looks okay. I don't see any issues on the other side of the cavity up in here. So that looks okay. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I want to check the truss rod, make sure there's nothing weird going on there. All I'm going to do is take the cover off and just see if the truss rod will move. Slide you down here. There's also there's only two screws holding the truss rod cover on. The third one. Thought it was missing at first, but I don't even see a hole there for it. So I'll have to ask him about that. I'm not sure if you can see that right there. So there doesn't seem to be a hole there. I mean, it's easy to drill in a hole. You don't really need 3 screws to hold that little piece of plastic on. But regardless, not a big deal to do it. Okay, so in order to get at this truss rod, I'm going to need to take the cover off. I'm going to loosen the locking nuts here. I'm not going to take the strings off yet. I just want to loosen them so I can move the strings out of the way. Take a look at what's going on there. So he didn't give me any tools, but this locking nut takes a 3mm hex key. So those are just loose. Yeah, I'm going to have to take this right off. I have to take this one off as well. And we'll take a closer look at the Floyd and the locking system when we do the string changes. For right now, I just want to get these strings out of the way. And there's our truss rod adjuster right in there. Okay, let me just move the G string out of my way here. Doesn't feel like the truss rod was engaged at all. Well, it's moving. I can feel it moving. Yeah, and we've got a two-way truss rod in here. Okay, so that's good. No worries there. Just gonna put the strings back. So I think I'm gonna stop the video there. This was just gonna be a short assessment video to see what kind of work we're gonna be doing on this guitar and any other things that crop up along the way. And you know what? While we've got these, let me take this final locking tuner off since we're taking a closer look at this nut up here, because that's the side that had that look like a crack. Just want to take a closer look at that. So you can kind of see that mark right there. Yeah, I mean, I can feel it with my finger, so something might just be a surface scratch. That's weird because that's metal. I can't see that cracking. But yeah, well, we'll have to get the strings off and take a closer look at that. So I think I'll save that for the next video when we start removing the strings and taking a closer look at the fretboard and the frets and stuff. So that should do it for now. Just a quick assessment video on the new or the next project. So if you've got an Ibanez Jem, I think most of the stuff we're going to be talking about in this video will be applicable to your guitar, other than a few cosmetic differences, like I mentioned earlier, the output jack being in a different spot. Okay, all in the video there, and when we come back, we'll start taking everything apart.